stakes, remove wire off of nests, or walk on top of a nest. In Columbus County, several groups coming together to tear down a drug house near a school. The Whiteville Police Department, North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement, and District Attorney John David have announced the demolition of a building across from Central Middle School. The lot at 205 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue was turned over to Whiteville City Schools after the property was deemed a nuisance to the community and posed a safety concern to children and staff at the school. And we now know about plans for a celebration to honor a man credited with growing and modernizing Thalian Hall. Tony Rivenbark died last Monday at Lower Cape Fear Hospice. For decades, he served as the executive director of Thalian Hall. A celebration ceremony called Remembering the Life of a Wilmington Legend will take place Saturday, August 27th at 5 p.m. on Thalian Hall's main stage. Seating is limited and first come, first serve. A reception will follow at the Wilson Center. For more on these stories, you can head over to wwaytv3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Another hot one on our hands here in the Cape Fear as high temperatures get into the middle and upper 90s inland of the coast, lower 90s for the coastal areas today, with heat advisories going into effect at noon, lasting until 8 o'clock this evening. As we head into the afternoon hours, only a small chance for an isolated shower or storm to develop. Most backyards are going to hold on to dry time. As for tonight, not much of a break from the heat and the humidity as temperatures fall to the upper 70s and the lower 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
Though we have all heard the nickname Tar Heels given to North Carolinians, not everyone knows its connection to the war between the states. North Carolina had been well known as a leading supplier of tar and pitch, used in shipbuilding since colonial times. During one battle, a regiment of North Carolinians met troops from another state who were retreating. One of them jokingly asked, "Is there any tar left in the old North State?" To which a North Carolinian replied, "Jeff Davis bought it all to put on your heels so you'll stick better in the next fight." Upon hearing of the incident, General Robert E. Lee said, "God bless the Tar Heel boys." From that day forward, North Carolinians have proudly carried the name Tar Heels as a part of their Confederate heritage. This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina Division of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, who encourage everyone to learn more about and help preserve their precious Southern heritage.
Listen to Tom Goolsby on The Chad Adams Show.
People with common sense know that the entire theory of socialism is one big lie.
The Big Talker 106.7 FM.
The only female in Eastern North Carolina who gets to host the amazing morning show. I am so glad to be here with you this morning. It is 8:05 a.m. Eastern time, and we're looking at a high of 81 degrees this morning. And it is another hot day, but you know what? I am in the mood for some fall happiness, and I brought my pumpkin coffee mug this morning. I'm ready for fall. Sorry for all you summer lovers out there. It's time. This heat needs to go away, and let's bring on some fall weather and some fall beautiful colored leaves. I'm so glad to be here with you this morning. We have an amazing set of guests today. We are bringing in Ramona Bessinger. She is a Rhode Island school teacher who has been fighting the critical race theory in the Rhode Island school systems. And yes, she was put in teacher jail. We will hear more from her this morning. And just a couple of days ago, the Wall Street Journal did a piece on her that she will be actually able to go back into her classrooms this fall. Also, at the 8:35 time period, we will have a candidate for Congress. I work a lot with, and I am friends with Common Sense New Jersey, and Frank Pallotta, who was running for the 5th Congressional District in New Jersey, is one of those Common Sense candidates and America First candidates. He will be joining us as well to talk a lot about what he's doing for the small businesses, the entrepreneurs, and he's also helped veteran businesses. So we are looking forward to hearing from him. And then finally, the last part of the morning, we are meeting with Paul Valone. He is the radio host for Guns, Politics, and Freedom. So we are looking forward to a great morning with you. We're thankful that you are here. For all of those who are tuning in around the nation, thank you for your support. For all of those who are tuning in Eastern North Carolina, we have some special events coming up for you, some special guests coming up for you. And at the end of every show, we're going to start talking about a lot of the powerful events going around and going on in Eastern North Carolina. And we're so grateful for your support. If you would like to call in today, we love taking call-ins. The number is 910-444-0281. And TK, have we been able to get in touch with Ramona?
I've sent a revised link. Hopefully we can get them in there from here. But we are standing by and ready for them.
Okay. I'm going
I should say, I'm sorry. We know the gender of this person.
Yeah. Stand by. I'm just emailing you just an updated version of her email just in case while we're waiting for her. And while we're waiting for Ramona Bessinger, I want to tell you just a little bit of a story about Ramona. Ramona and I met last year at a CRT event that I helped put on with Jonathan E. Moore, the constitutional law attorney that you heard earlier this week. We were doing a book event and also a CRT event, raising the flag on CRT in our school systems. And Ramona was one of our keynote speakers. As I mentioned to you, she's been one of the only ones in Rhode Island that's been raising the flag against what they are teaching and wanting to put into the curriculum in our school systems, and that is CRT and the transgender infiltration. And the Wall Street Journal opinion that was posted July the 25th by James Freeman. The title is "A Teacher Triumphs Over the Woke Educational Establishment. Ramona Bessinger will be back in her classroom this fall. We are looking forward to speaking with her." Is there any updated connections?
Still working on it. You're faster than my PC here. These are all stolen computers. Remember that.
Oh no, don't tell everybody.
And one thing I do tend to point out a lot is for anybody else who is thinking of stealing a radio station, make sure you steal the manuals as well. I can't tell you how much that'll help.
I am sending you her number if you want to go ahead and get her on the line. I just texted it to you.
Stand by.
And as we talked to Ramona Bessinger this morning, just a couple things about the article that was posted in the Wall Street Journal opinion. Quote, "At last, some good news from the U.S. public education, thanks to one tough teacher who refused to accept the poisonous ideology now enforced in so many classrooms around our nation. Regular readers of this column will especially be cheered to read the latest dispatch from Ramona Bessinger via the Legal Insurrection website."
And I believe she's with us on the phone. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Okay. Sorry.
I even have video. This is awesome.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Good morning.
I don't know what the... Yeah.
No, that's okay. Good morning, Ramona. We're so glad to have you. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you. Thank you so much, Eden, for having me on your show.
You are so welcome. I was just reading the Wall Street Journal opinion about how you're going to be back in your classroom this fall. And I was giving a little introduction to our audience about the event that we did last year, fighting CRT, fighting that transgender aspects and keeping it out of our school systems and the public school systems. But Ramona, first and foremost, if you could please tell our audience what happened and what I quote call put you in teacher jail. What transpired? Can you give us a little bit of a timeline?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to say that I'm a 23-year veteran teacher, and without any sort of disciplinary action, I need to say it because there's all this stigma attached to the sort of actions that occurred subsequent to me speaking out about the CRT in our schools. So Initially, I started just sort of reaching out to administration and trying to find out why, one, the books are being removed from our classrooms and put into dumpsters, literally, and the books and curriculum were then replaced with this very highly politicized, divisive, racialized curriculum. So once I started doing that, then I became a target for various administration. Initially, I had no idea why I was a target or why I was constantly being, brought to HR for ridiculous, silly allegations. Suddenly, and I went from being star teacher to being, public enemy number one in education. So this has gone on now for about a year and a half, and it sort of culminated with this article in Legal Insurrection last July that went somewhat viral, I suppose. It was of interest at the time and still fairly new, the notion of CRT in our schools. And when that happened, then, the following September, I went back to school, and it was crazy. I was attacked by various activist teachers. And it suddenly became, apparent that they were going after me in many different ways. And I mean, yelling at me in a faculty meeting, calling me a white supremacist, having some students, younger students, believe that I was trying to abolish all Black literature in the schools, which is ludicrous. But you know what? That's what happens. And they descended upon me. Finally, in October, I was literally transferred out of my permanent classroom to another school without any reason, without any justification, without any I had no idea why. I mean, we know why, but nothing was placed in official writing or anything like that. So then that is where the story picks up. And I spent 9 months, and thankfully, with the guidance of Judicial Watch and support from media as well, I was able to, I think, expose further what their schools were doing. And as a result, I think they felt the pressure to put me back into the classroom. Yeah.
Can I ask you really quickly, have you found other school teachers coming alongside of you to support you? Are you finding that more school teachers who do not agree with what's going on are not as afraid as they were before to stand up because you have been leading this fight?
I think we're seeing more teachers come on board to sort of speak out about this. However, not enough. Teachers are afraid, and understandably so. Their careers, their mortgages, their families are all at risk when you become a target, because then, to lose that income is frightening and it's significant. So a lot of people are, continuing to remain silent. And what I would say is that there is help for teachers who do speak out. You just have to have the courage to take that step. Currently, there is a lot of support. Teachers are supporting me, but much, on a quieter level, reaching out privately, etc.
I was noticing in this Wall Street Journal opinion article that came out just a couple days ago, it said, quote, on July 13th, 2021, I blew the whistle at Legal Insurrection on how a new critical race curriculum in Providence, Rhode Island Middle School, where I taught, was creating a racial hostility, turning students and staff against me because I was white and turning students against their country. What was that like for you to go through that process?
Terrible, quite frankly. A lot of sleepless nights, and very, very difficult, very challenging because, I've never seen anything like this. I have never seen takeover of the curriculum in this way. I've never seen takeover of the culture and climate. So that, first of all, was bizarre and scary. But most significantly, this is an orthodoxy. This is like a religion. And the teachers who are a part of this, and I'm going to say something, it's not very many. It is a small percentage, but they have control of the schools, control of the tax dollars. That small contingent really went after me in a vicious way, and called me names as I as I stated, and, just nothing that had to do with education, nothing that could be proved. When I challenged these sort of attacks, calling me a white supremacist or anti, slave history or whatever it was, whatever attack was levied against me, there was absolutely no justification and nothing that anybody could point to. So it was very challenging and hard, especially when kids were involved. I was really getting isolated and singled out. And I think you have to really be a teacher in the system to fully grasp the gravitude of, the terrible sort of feelings of isolation and worry and concern when faculty members are emboldened to do this to you.
I had noticed also, you had mentioned in this article in the Wall Street Journal, and for those who are tuning in, we have Ramona Bessinger. She is fighting the CRT agenda in Rhode Island. She's been a public school teacher for over 23 years. And she had mentioned in this Wall Street Journal opinion article from this week, what followed was a year of retaliation, harassment, intimidation, and involuntary transfer to another school where there was no teaching position for me. I was forced to spend a year alone in a windowless, empty school basement resource room as students and staff passed by and gawked at me like I was some strange caged zoo animal, audibly mumbling how I was the racist teacher they had been warned about.
That's exactly right.
Sitting there reading that and just and hearing it out loud, were you in fear of your life?
There were times, it's interesting that you asked that, because there were times when I thought, what, I'm a sitting duck here. I am, basically relegated to this room in the basement where there are no windows and really no other exit except for one exit. And there were times when I thought, what, this is significant here. And, you never know what kids are being told. Well, we know what kids are being told, and we don't know what young person or teacher may take upon themselves to be martyr-like and attack me. You don't know that. I mean, this is a very serious issue that is occurring in our schools. There's a reason teachers are leaving the profession en masse. There's a reason for that. It isn't safe anymore in schools. So, that concern was significant and it was real at times. However, the other side of things would be much more frightening for me. So when, and should this nation be taken over by this political agenda that we're seeing roll out, that is going to be much more terrifying than actually standing up to these bullies and activists.
Yeah, the political agenda, we have been talking about this on the show. We had Jonathan E. Mort, as you know, a couple days ago talking about it. We also brought on, he was a constitutional law attorney. We also brought on Barbara from Harlem, who you also know from that event we all joined together. She came on and talked about it from her perspective of what she has faced. One quote that she always says in her commentary, she didn't bring it up on this one, but it was still just as powerful, was stop using my color against me. And she has been fighting that as well. And it is, this woke cult that we have been talking about. It is what we're seeing in our schools. And we talked about this earlier this week on a couple different levels, but a couple things I wanted to just circle back with. I had been reading the Daily Signal, which is a part of the Heritage Foundation. And yesterday, Governor DeSantis, our America's governor out of the great state of Florida, quote said, kids are off limits. He is now suing the bar that let children attend drag shows. And I said, yes, I sat there and said, I can't believe we're even looking at this as a news headline. Why are we allowing this? Let me ask you, from the parental standpoint, I have been talking to a lot of leaders in Florida. They are in Sarasota County, especially. It's a hotbed And Moms for America, Moms for Liberty are out on the front lines fighting for parental rights. Let me ask you, from the standpoint of, you are a mom, but you're also a school teacher. You are a servant in so many different forms and fashions. From a parental standpoint, where do the parents still have the rights to protect their children from this indoctrination?
Well, clearly we are being barred from exercising that right. I am also a very strong advocate for my own child, who currently attends a high school here, North Kingstown High School, which has been in the news also for parental concerns over the curriculum. But it would seem that our concerns as parents, just as a teacher, are falling on deaf ears. In fact, they are doubling down to push this agenda into the schools. So, we need to also double down. We need to also get louder and more organized. And we are writing letters and motivating parents and sounding the alarm on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. And they keep pushing this agenda. And I will tell you the reason why. This agenda is the same as it rolls out through every district in the United States. It's like a playbook or a template. They have the agenda in front of them. They are pushing it through. They are ignoring parents, and they don't care. They don't care how many superintendents are getting fired, put on leave, who gets accused. We have a teacher that was accused of sexual abuse and is currently being charges were pressed against that teacher. I mean, the culture in the school, it is complete chaos and worrisome and scary. We have co-ed bathrooms that are worrisome. We have activist students who are being primed to motivate other students, intimidate other students. It is outrageous, and we need to keep the pressure on. So on both fronts, as an educator and a mother, I'm fighting the battle in a way that, honestly, Eden, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined. I'm not politically active, and I would say that probably most parents out there are saying the same thing. They've never been politically active, but this is different. You come between a mother, a parent, and their child, look out. Hell hath no fear. I mean, this is the hill we all die on. And there is no stopping this parent movement, although the federal government is currently trying to silence us all.
Right. Let me ask you something else in regards to this whole agenda that the leftists are pushing. Do I dare say, where's the money trail in all of this? Are the school systems getting a cut out of this agenda, saying, hey, if you push this agenda, you get some money? Who's getting it underneath the table? I'm calling it out as I see it. There is always a money trail, and I want to know where that money trail is coming from and going to. And, you have to sit here and say, those who have been elected to office, yes, they are there to, the checks and balances of what is happening in our nation's Oval Office. But at the end of the day, there are those regulators, as Jonathan Emord says in his book, The Authoritarians, that are going to go and, basically continue to regulate, continue to control. And really, Congress doesn't have the power to stop it. So, as you are fighting as a parent, as an educator, as a concerned citizen, my question is, where's the money? Who's getting it? And, calling out these school districts. And as Barbara said, she said it is, a Marxist aspect to what's happening in these school districts. And it's been going on for a long time. But I think it took the pandemic, is what I call it, the time to wake it up and say, and the parents were starting to realize what was happening. My producer, who just told me we have about 2 minutes left, and my goodness, Ramona, we have so much more to talk about. But let me ask you this. Ramona Bessinger, who is an educator in the Rhode Island School District, she is a parent. She believes in parental rights, and she's going to be going back to her classroom in the fall. What would you say? You said we need to continue fighting. We need to be continuing to be in the public square, raising our awareness. But from your personal standpoint, do you think it's now time that parents need to pull their kids out of public schools, put them in charter schools, put them in private schools, or even homeschool?
No.
What are your thoughts?
No, very quickly, it is systemic. It's in all the schools, charter schools, private schools. This is everywhere. This is coming right from the federal government on down. And just to speak to that point that you made about where is the money coming from, I'm going to tell you exactly. It's coming from ESSER funds. It's coming from the taxpayer. And it's coming, basically, we are funding this war against America. That is plain and simple. It's coming right from our tax dollars. They have control of those tax dollars, and they are using them to advance the curriculum platforms, the curriculum professional development, et cetera. So that is exactly where it comes from. That's a whole other discussion, probably. We don't have time for that, but it's being funded by the taxpayer.
Yes. Well, Ramona Bessinger, we will have you back. I have no doubt as we head into the fall school year, which is literally right around the corner. I want to hear back from you. I'm going to continue following you. Where can people connect with you after they've heard this interview this morning? What is the best way for them to connect with you if they want to support you, if they want to stay in touch and they want to send you information and just be a huge support to what you are doing?
Oh, thank you for saying that and mentioning that, because Twitter currently has a sensitive banner across my profile. And in some cases, people cannot even find me on Twitter, but it's at Ramona Bessinger Twitter, and also on Facebook. I have a significant, I think, growing, group there where I post all the curriculum information and share with individuals. So on Facebook, Ramona Bessinger, and also on Twitter at Ramona Bessinger, and ignore the sensitive banner, because that is just to scare people away from following me. But there's nothing sensitive about anything I'm saying. It's just the truth.
Exactly. And we need to keep telling the truth. I am sick of big tech trying to censor what we are trying to fight for, our American freedoms, faith, family, freedom. Let's fight.
That's right.
Ramona Bessinger, I am so grateful for your friendship. I'm so grateful for your fight. And we are going to take this country back. And I'm so thankful for your fight. And keep waving your flag. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So
thank you, Eden. Awesome.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Hey, TK, how are we doing?
We are ready for a break, madam.
That's fabulous.
We'll be right back on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Don't go nowhere.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. In crime news, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for sexual assault he recently committed after recently getting out of prison. Detectives arrested Matthew Alexander Stull for second-degree rape on June 10th. Stull had previously been arrested in 2015 for second-degree rape. This charge violated his probation. Stull is now back in prison, awaiting trial for this assault. In Brunswick County, authorities are looking for a vandal who damaged the sea turtle nesting sign in Oak Island. The Oak Island Sea Turtle Protection Program says someone sprayed blue paint on a sign, which dripped onto the sand in the nest. Disturbing a nest is a federal offense, and fines range from $15,000 to $50,000. It is illegal to put up stakes, remove wire off of nests, or walk on top of a nest. In Columbus County, several groups coming together to tear down a drug house near a school. The Whiteville Police Department, North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement, and District Attorney John David have announced the demolition of a building across from Central Middle School. The lot at 205 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue was turned over to Whiteville City Schools after the property was deemed a nuisance to the community and posed a safety concern to children and staff at the school. And we now know about plans for a celebration to honor a man credited with growing and modernizing Thalian Hall. Tony Rivenbark died last Monday at Lower Cape Fear Hospice. For decades, he served as the executive director of Thalian Hall. A celebration ceremony called Remembering the Life of a Wilmington Legend will take place Saturday, August 27th at 5 p.m. on Thalian Hall's main stage. Seating is limited and first come, first serve. A reception will follow at the Wilson Center. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Another hot one on our hands here in the Cape Fear as high temperatures get into the middle and upper 90s inland of the coast, lower 90s for the coastal areas today, with heat advisories going into effect at noon, lasting until 8 o'clock this evening. As we head into the afternoon hours, only a small chance for an isolated shower or storm to develop. Most backyards are going to hold on to dry time. As for tonight, not much of a break from the heat and the humidity as temperatures fall to the upper 70s and the lower 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
There has never been a better time to go to college. Class of 2021 high school graduates, you don't want to miss this. You may be eligible to have your tuition and fees covered at Cape Fear Community College for 2 years, beginning this fall through the North Carolina Longleaf Commitment Grant. This is money that does not need to be repaid and covers tuition toward a degree or towards transfer credit to a 4-year school. This is your chance to make it happen at CFCC for free. Find out more at cfcc.edu/NC Grant.
Teachers and parents, the North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to program whenever you want, however you want by asking for Big Talker.
So how is that being able to see your guests? Wasn't that cool?
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, let Chad know that this is now getting up towards the Fox Business level of production from a shoestring budget. A couple of, I use those bendy ties you get with the trash bags.
Mm-hmm.
I use those a lot. Oh, I guess I should say it's time to mention that we are the Asylum. I didn't realize that we'd run out of break while I'm over here dealing with the technical stuff. Welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Miss Gordon Hill, would you like to take it from there?
Hi, good morning, everyone. And this is Eden Gordon Hill. I am your morning host here in Eastern North Carolina. And we are going to be having another congressional candidate from the great state of New Jersey, the Garden State. And they will be joining us here in just about 10 minutes. They are running just a little bit behind, but they will be here shortly. You just heard from Ramona Bessinger. She is an educator from the great state of Rhode Island, and she has been fighting the CRT agenda to get it out of those schools, and she was what I call put in teacher jail. Now, the Wall Street Journal opinion article that was put out this week is stating that she will be back in her classrooms in the fall. So we look forward to having her back. And we thank you for the Facebook and YouTube comments that you are posting out there. We thank you for showing support to Ramona. We thank you for showing support to this show. We are grateful to have you both here in Eastern North Carolina and also around the nation. We all are grateful for your tuning in. And as we are waiting for the next guest from the great state of New Jersey, I want to just tell you a little bit about Republican for Congress. Pallotta. It's spelled Pallotta, and he is running for the 5th District of New Jersey. And if you go to his website, it is pallottaforcongress.com. He is focused on many different aspects. And if you look at his press releases, he has he has received.
Hold on.
Okay.
I think I got him on the phone, though.
All right.
Sounding like it.
Here we go. Sorry. Hello?
Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, sir. Welcome to the show. My name is Eden Gordon Hill, and we have Elizabeth Nader in common, and I'm so grateful for you to join us this morning.
Thank you.
I just wanted to briefly hear a little bit about what you're doing in the Great Garden State. I had Darius Mayfield on yesterday from who's running for Jersey's 12th congressional district. I understand you are running for Jersey's 5th congressional district. Is that correct?
I'm running in New Jersey 5. That is correct.
Okay, great. Well, we have something in common, even though this radio show is based in near Eastern North Carolina. We have a couple things in common. I ran for State House from Eastern North Carolina, but I also grew up in the great state of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and my mother's family is from Elmwood Park, New Jersey. So I have a personal love for the Garden State.
Oh, that's great. I've spent a little more than 33 years here, so I love it here.
It's a beautiful state, and I tell you, we need to take Garden State back, don't we? Yes, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, this is, for as long as I've been here, it's a beautiful state. It's got between farms and urban areas and neighborhoods, and even Congressional District 5 itself is a microcosm of the whole state. You've got industries and small businesses and large corporations. So, and farms and zoos and it's great, but I don't like where we've gone the last few years. And what I'm looking to do, to your point, is to take this state back one district at a time.
Amen. I am right there behind you. Actually, I'll be up in your great state next week. We're going to take the show up there and hopefully have Elizabeth Nader on and a couple other congressional candidates, and would love to meet you if you have the time. But first and foremost, one thing that really caught my attention, I'm a veteran spouse, and I care very much about our active duty and our military and also our veterans. My husband served in Iraq in the Army and the National Guard. And I noticed that you, as a businessman, correct me if I'm wrong, has really worked with our veteran community. And I noticed that the Navy commander praised you for your support of veterans and endorsing, and he also endorsed you in your congressional bid. Tell me a little bit about your work with veterans. Obviously, this is a very family, freedom, faith focused show, and I want to really highlight what we can do for our veterans and what you are doing.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for recognizing that. It's something I did. I spent my career in the financial services area on Wall Street, and you get to know payment patterns and different programs for all sorts of people, and the veteran programs, the VA program, and other programs are very important, not just for helping our veterans, but for helping the housing market. Veterans are great homeowners. Veterans are loyal. Veterans are a group that understand that the privilege of owning a home is just that. And, during the mortgage crisis, clearly everybody was suffering, including our veterans. We saw, job loss go up, and we're talking about the crisis of 2008. And
yes.
Banks began to pull back on lending on all for all sectors of the market. And, I recognize, just being in the housing market for, 24, 25 years, that if people didn't begin to do something about either our minority communities or other parts of the country and veterans, that we would start to lose them. And I came up with a program with some of my partners to help veterans who were struggling through the crisis. And I specifically picked veterans because there isn't a thing veterans would not do to help this country, to help people. In fact, one of the things we talked about is veterans are typically the first people to raise their hand and say, "What do you need?" and the last
yes.
person to raise their hand and say, "I need help."
Yes.
So it was a program that we got together with banks and the government, and we were able to provide veterans a pathway to assistance free of charge to them and their family. And our program ended up not only winning a Time Magazine award for one of the best inventions of 2010, but we helped over 10,000 veterans find that assistance, that government assistance they needed. And I'm immensely proud of that program. And to this day, it's one of the greatest things I've done.
No, I applaud you for that. Thank you. Thank you for serving them. Let me ask you this. When you get elected, we are looking for that red wave in November. And, our nation is at a turning point. And as President Trump, as President Trump spoke at the America First Policy Institute the other day, we have a cesspool of crime, 51% up in murders in our cities, and you not being too far from New York City, which is, the stomping grounds that formed me and my career at Fox Business and on Capitol Hill. I sit there and say, what are we doing? What are we doing, and what are we doing as a nation with this red wave? And to get you into Congress, what would be your first thing? What would be your first bill you'd put into the hopper, you take to the floor to really help your constituents in your district?
Well, the first bill I want to put in is something that Josh Gottheimer has not been able to get over the goal line in 5 years, and that's to help with tax relief. As a federal position, you can do very little about state taxes, but what you can do is help lower the state tax burden by bringing back the SALT deduction, the full SALT deduction. Our congressional leadership couldn't do it when they had all three sections of government, when they had the White House and they had the Senate and they had the House. They couldn't get it done. They couldn't do it when they were split. So this is a function of not having people in power, the Democrats in power, who have the ability to come to the table with a viable plan. They don't have the ability to negotiate to get to a point where we need to be. So the first thing I would do, and honestly, it's the job of a congressman, is to do the work for the people who elected you. And, the number one issue in our state right now, in our district, is inflation. You came across crime as number two. And what I would do is put forth bills that I think restore some of the issues, some of the programs we had in place that enable the consumer to have power. New Jersey currently is the worst state in terms of property taxes, business taxes, and I want to bring that back. I want to bring forth legislation that puts dollars back in the consumer's hands, not just because I think the dollars work better there, but because I think this country grows over the long term when the tax base begins to rise, when the consumers have the ability, when you create a smaller government, so that's what I would do, is look for the economic growth triggers that begin to bring our state back.
No, I think that's fabulous. And I agree with you. Power back to the states, smaller governments. We have got to remove this Biden mentality that we must depend on all things big government, because that's the issue. Yeah. Government is too big. Government is too big, and we need to take a step back. And, another thing that I sit here and I worked on Capitol Hill for many years as a comms director I started out as an intern for Joe Pitts from Pennsylvania, went on to work for Mark Souder. I worked for Steve King from Iowa, the kingmaker of Iowa, and worked for Senator Rick Santorum and his conference committee for many, many years, personal office. Wow. And on the campaign. And, having been in that background in the marble halls of Congress, there's something to that. There's such a power that comes with that, but there's also there is an accountability that is lacking there, that is lacking with what is happening in our nation's capital. And for you to bring that back, and you to really just represent your constituents, knowing that you are going to be available to them, that you're going to take their calls, that you're going to have your office door open to them and not say, we are no longer taking visitors. That's power right there, power back to the people. The people need to know that you are there for them. And no, government cannot solve all of our problems, and it shouldn't. It comes back to the local. It comes back to the power back to the states. But let me ask you this. You mentioned the farmers and the agricultural industry. Is that a huge part of your district as well?
It is. Well, we lost Warren County through redistricting. Sussex County is, in large part, many farms, many family-owned farms, like space farms. And they are the backbone of northern Jersey and central.
So let me ask you this, from the standpoint of, what is happening. I feel as though the agricultural piece, there's a lot of farmers in this great state of North Carolina as well. But I feel as though, and I've heard Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, talk about the farming, the issues of farming, that they are losing more and more aspects to their farming business. Are you seeing that economic shift from the farmers as well? As you talk about tax relief, are you seeing that hurt the farmers in the Garden State?
I am seeing it, and unfortunately, the decision is not the farmers. I think they're forced from an economic standpoint to begin to shift, which is a problem because I think the population of the country, the population of the world is going in only one direction. And, the ability to feed those people, to feed them in a way where you're not importing a lot from overseas. You see the problem we have with the conflict with Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine is one of the largest wheat providers in the world. And if you talk about all the ag products that are not just throughout the country, but specifically out of the state of New Jersey, we have to empower our farmers, whether it's tax relief, whether it's breaks. They can't get people to work for them based on what's going on. People just aren't working. The incentive to work is killing our small businesses, it's killing our farms, and it's killing this country. And it's the Biden administration and these Democrat policies that are allowing it to happen. And unfortunately, it's the Democrat congressional leadership in this great state that's allowing that to happen as well. So it's up to me to make sure that we empower not just our farmers, but everybody who wants to work and find a job to work, a workable wage, but to do something that they're proud of. And we cannot continue to lose our farmers and have them lose their businesses. So it's one of my jobs to make sure that my district and the farmers in my district know that I have their back up and down. And that's going to be the case, I promise you.
No, I'm so happy to hear that. Growing up in Pennsylvania and being around the farm community, there's something to that. And it has such a powerful message to the local communities. And it is, such a huge resource of revenue for a lot of the communities. But I don't like seeing the generational farmers, die off because of all these government regulations, because they are.
I will tell you also a little bit of it, is personal. My mother and my mother's family grew up on a farm in Ohio. So it's something that I understand, and they were able to provide, food. It wasn't a lot. Youngstown, Ohio was a very small steel and farm community, and you forget how important our farmers are, and you forget how important community is. And we're losing our communities, and we're losing our farms, and once you lose them, you don't get them back. And it's something I want to make sure people understand. It's important to me.
No, I'm glad to hear that, because you know what? The farmers are one of the very huge backbones to the United States. They are one of the main backbones. And so I'm really excited and thankful that you're going to be fighting and advocating for them when you take this seat in Congress during the red wave. Tell me a little bit now about how does your election, how's your campaign look? How are the numbers looking for you? How is the support you're receiving and the endorsement? How does all of that looking for you against your opponent?
You know what? It's great. Josh Gottheimer is the incumbent. It's always a little more difficult. But in New Jersey, we can recognize a fraud. And, for 5 years, Josh has been someone who has promised to deliver a lot of different things and has not. He talks about clawing back money for the district. And all of a sudden, with this $1.9 trillion bill that was passed, he's calling that clawing back money for infrastructure. He's not. That's a tax increase that we are paying. He's clawing back our own money. You look at, we talked about the situation around salt. He's supposed to roll up his sleeves and get down to work. So New Jerseyans are beginning to recognize that our leaders who are not pulling their weight, who are not doing the job that they're supposed to do to serve the people they were elected to serve, are going to be voted out. We're seeing it in the polling numbers. Washington, D.C. has placed 3 districts in our state on their target list. I believe 3, 5, and 7 are on the target. And, they're doing that for a variety of reasons. But I'll tell you, districts like Darius Mayfield's that he's running in, you saw Ed Durr. Ed Durr came out of nowhere. Darius Mayfield, I've spent hours talking to him. He is a good man with great ideas. He's got a big heart, and he's driven. So our race is looking very competitive, mostly because we are a solution-based campaign. We don't point fingers. We don't talk about what other people do wrong without telling them how we will do it right. And that's what I've been doing. We've been doing it. I've not stopped running for 3 years. You know, I after our race ended in 2020, we immediately helped the 2021 candidates, including Jack Ciattarelli and the legislators. And, again, we rolled right into this. We had a primary, but I think we proved in the primary 2 years in a row that, you know, the right candidate that we're going to put forth to run through the election in November is me, and we're excited about doing that.
I can already tell. And, you know, also looking at your website, for our audience out there, we're talking to Frank Pallotta. He is a New Jersey congressional candidate for District 5. And his website is pallottaforcongress.com. Please go check out his press releases. I'm sitting here looking at them. As a communications professional, I go straight to the press releases and the news sites. And I also noticed you stand for parental rights. Man, you hit that nail on the head. I've been talking with candidates who are running from Sarasota County for school board who've been endorsed by America's governor, Ron DeSantis, and they have been fighting for parental rights down in Sarasota. I just talked to Ramona Bessinger. She is a school teacher who was put in school teacher jail because she was fighting to keep the CRT agenda out of the schools. And, you know, I see that standing for parental rights. And also an article that came out today in the Daily Signal and the Heritage Foundation, Congresswoman Virginia Foxx from North Carolina is talking about how the parental rights need to be constantly fought for at this point because parents are fighting this agenda in the schools. They're now being called racist. And so tell me about what you are seeing in your school districts and what are some other aspects to implementing to fight the CRT agenda from your perspective in the state of New Jersey?
Well, I appreciate that because that is something that means a lot, not just to this campaign, but in the state of New Jersey. Particularly what I've seen in northern New Jersey is you don't mess around with our kids. And by the way, that's not just school rights, and I'll get back to that in a second. We're talking about vaccine mandates, mask mandates, some of the curriculum that we're seeing in school, including some of the new sex education curriculum. There is nothing you can do worse for a parent than to go and try and take over what's going into their kids' heads. And you know, we're looking at different curriculum around the school. We've got, in northern New Jersey, we have drag queens reading to school children. And one of the groups that we looked at, it wasn't just a drag queen, it was a porn star. So, you know, this is one of those things. And you saw Youngkin in Virginia. Once Terry McAuliffe said, we need to figure out how to take our parents out of the schools, the polls moved on a dime. And it turned on a dime. So we're seeing that in New Jersey as well. And, you know, it's going to be one of these things. In whatever position I am in as a federal legislator, when it comes to not just school choice, but what we're teaching our kids in our school, you know, I am not just going to stick to what the rule book says a congressman or a federal elected official has to do. I will do what I have to do for my state and my district, and if that means camping myself out in front of Phil Murphy's office door until I get what I need from my people in my district, I will do it. This federal position is the most local position there is, and I will never forget that, and I will never leave the district or the mothers of the children in our district.
You know what? I'm right behind you. If you need some help standing out of Phil Murphy's store, I'm right there with you. You know, I remember at the beginning of the year, a lot of the candidates in the primary basically did a rally at the Jersey State Capitol talking about, you know, kids need to be back in schools. Stop with the jabs. Stop with the mask mandates. Stop with all these mandates and government control. We are taking our state back. And that's exactly what you are doing, Frank Pallotta. I'm so grateful. I know we are just about up on the break and my producer's like, no, we can't. We have got to keep talking, but we've got to get going. So Frank, as we get closer to November, I would be honored to have you back. I'm going to be behind you, and I look forward to meeting you. And thank you so much for representing the great state of the Garden State, New Jersey. Frank Pallotta, New Jersey candidate for the District 5 for Congress. Go to pallottaforcongress.com. Frank, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to talking with you again.
All right. Many blessings to you, sir. Go get them.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after these messages on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Don't go nowhere. You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
Tune in to the WWAY News at 6 p.m.
Thank you for joining us tonight for Your News at 6. I'm Hannah Patrick.
I'm Randy Aldridge. We want to get straight to our WWAY team coverage of last night.
For the biggest and most compelling stories that make a difference.
On the scene shortly after the blaze began and has the story now.
Cleveland is one of the fastest growing towns in the country.
First court appearance this morning in Pender County.
WWAY News at 6 p.m. This is the place.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. In crime news, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for sexual assault he recently committed after recently getting out of prison. Detectives arrested Matthew Alexander Stull for second-degree rape on June 10th. Stull had previously been arrested in 2015 for second-degree rape. This charge violated his probation. Stull is now back in prison, awaiting trial for this assault. In Brunswick County, authorities are looking for a vandal who damaged the sea turtle nesting sign in Oak Island. The Oak Island Sea Turtle Protection Program says someone sprayed blue paint on a sign, which dripped onto the sand in the nest. Disturbing a nest is a federal offense, and fines range from $15,000 to $50,000. It is illegal to put up stakes, remove wire off of nests, or walk on top of a nest. In Columbus County, several groups coming together to tear down a drug house near a school. The Whiteville Police Department, North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement, and District Attorney John David have announced the demolition of a building across from Central Middle School. The lot at 205 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue was turned over to Whiteville City Schools after the property was deemed a nuisance to the community and posed a safety concern to children and staff at the school. And we now know about plans for a celebration to honor a man credited with growing and modernizing Thalian Hall. Tony Rivenbark died last Monday at Lower Cape Fear Hospice. For decades, he served as the executive director of Thalian Hall. A celebration ceremony called Remembering the Life of a Wilmington Legend will take place Saturday, August 27th at 5 p.m. on Thalian Hall's main stage. Seating is limited and first come, first serve. A reception will follow at the Wilson Center. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Another hot one on our hands here in the Cape Fear as high temperatures get into the middle and upper 90s inland of the coast, lower 90s for the coastal areas today, with heat advisories going into effect at noon, lasting until 8 o'clock this evening. As we head into the afternoon hours, only a small chance for an isolated shower or storm to develop. Most backyards are going to hold on to dry time. As for tonight, not much of a break from the heat and the humidity as temperatures fall to the upper 70s and the lower 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
One Love Tennis started in 2013 to give back to young boys and girls. We now go through 460 kids a week that are learning about life skills, learning to succeed in life through academics and tennis. Putting those two together, if you do them well, you can write your own ticket. To get involved in this program, go to our website, one-love-tennis.org.
Folks, the sad truth of it is most of what we're seeing in the news cycle is just noise, and it's recycled noise at that. Nothing informative, nothing that actually helps us discern the times that we live in. That's why we started doing Heard Tell. Every morning right here on Big Talker Network, 7 a.m. with a replay at 3 p.m., we talk and discuss the issues of the day, culture and politics with knowledgeable guests, no yelling, no caterwauling, just grown folk talk about the issues that matter. Join me, Andrew Donaldson, every weekday morning for Heard Tell.
I am State Farm Agent Rob Renz, and I want to help you get to a better place. Visit us online at ilminsurance.com. That's ilminsurance.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Coffee and bagels, you can do that too.
Coffee and bagels here on the Asylum. Welcome back to the Refuge in a World Gone Mad. We have Ms. Eden Gordon Hill. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and plug the website.
Go for it.
BigTalker.live. Download the app for Android and iOS devices. Peruse our schedule of content. Send us an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have, because we can't improve without your help. And if you've got the Big Talker app on your smart device, you can pair it with your automotive entertainment system, so you can take the Big Talker anywhere and everywhere you want to be. And I understand we have some news stories coming up this morning. I don't think that Ms. Gordon Hill would have any opinions thereof.
Very funny, TK. Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, July the 28th. We have made it past Hump Day, and we are headed into a great weekend ahead. I am Eden Gordon Hill, and I am your Big Talker for the morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. What a great show we've already had this morning. We've had Rhode Island School Teacher Ramona Bessinger, and she is going back to school in the fall, says the Wall Street Journal opinion article that just came out this week. We also had congressional candidate for District 5, Frank Pallotta. He is out there fighting for our veterans, our farmers, making sure that the Garden State and his district that he will take back, will have tax relief. You hear that? Tax relief. What an amazing thing that is to know, to have tax relief. I'm sure we all are still looking at the pumps. I'm sure we're also looking at the prices in the supermarkets. And as I'm sitting here looking at the headlines of the news, I don't know if I even want to bring them up, because I went straight to Drudge Report. I used to use it as a source when I was on Capitol Hill. I think it's definitely changed a lot in the years since that time period. But they're saying now in big caps letters in red, recession 2022, the GDP second straight quarterly drop. So I haven't gone to Fox Business yet this morning. I will be tuning in to Maria Bartiromo this weekend, her Sunday features, her Wall Street Minute, and all the shows that she does for the Fox Business channel. Definitely tune in to what she has to say about the recession and how the Biden administration is changing the content and the topic to, we're not in a recession. I don't know where they are, and they're probably smoking something from Hunter. That's my opinion. And in addition to that, as we head into Friday, tomorrow, I wanted just to put a plug out there. We always, in this show now, we've done this. I've been on the show for a week. Happy anniversary, TK. Thank you for bringing me to the show. Thank you for Big Talker Network.
Thank you for taking over my morning.
I love being here. I love working with you, TK, and I'm grateful that we are on our week anniversary. I'm excited to see what is ahead. I'm thankful for your faith in me and just having the faith to put me on the air. I'm absolutely loving reporting and bringing topics, truth, faith, freedom, and family to the show, especially in Eastern North Carolina. We are in a very big red territory. We have an amazing constituency here in Eastern North Carolina, and I'm grateful to be able to speak to you each and every morning. Also, as we prepare for tomorrow's show, I wanted to let you know we're going to be bringing to the table military spouse, an entrepreneur, and a book author, Marlene Norgard. We met when her and her husband were stationed at Camp Lejeune, which is in my backyard. And she has written at least 3 children's books for military children. So we will be talking about that tomorrow. We'll be featuring her books, especially on Friday, which is Red Friday, remembering everybody deployed. We also will have on the show Julie Klein. She is the president of Trinity School of Health. And she also is the executive producer for Trinity Health Expo, which happens in Chicago every year. I believe this is the 20-something year that they've been doing this. And she is just a phenomenal human. She will talk about our health freedoms, the expo, and the school. And then finally, we will be featuring a VSO tomorrow, Veteran Service Organization. We have a couple at our doorstep, and every Friday going forward, we will be featuring a Veteran Service Organization. There are many here in the great state of North Carolina, especially here in Eastern North Carolina. We have Hope for the Warriors. We have the USO over in Jacksonville and also in Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. And then we also have Hiring Our Heroes. And then also for the active duty military spouse, something that Frank Pallotta and I didn't get to talk to you about this morning. He was really talking about helping the veterans and helping them with employment, helping them be able to get their homes, and just the amazing work that he did during that time period. But there's also something that we need to really talk about, and that is the underemployment of our military spouses. I know many military spouses in the Eastern North Carolina area and also around the nation. There are many amazing groups that are looking and seeking to hire our military spouses. But one thing that was brought to my attention, and that is they are up against the fact that we are no longer in the COVID pandemic space. So everybody was working virtual. Everybody didn't have to worry about childcare because most of the children were at home at that point because of the isolation techniques that the government was imposing. In that, though, they are now being required of employers to go back into the office, to be physically present, no longer virtual, and it is really prohibiting them from having that flexibility, one, to raise their kids, but also to have that career they so seek. They are spouses that are supporting their spouses who are serving both either on the home front or overseas. And yes, they are also the CEO of their homes and their children and helping raise their children while the spouse is serving overseas. So there's a lot of different aspects to the military spouse and finding them employment, not underemployment. They're always told to volunteer. Well, they're tired of volunteering. They are talented, resilient spouses who have the opportunity to bring so much to our businesses, our small businesses, those in and around the nation. One of my friends who's over at Camp Lejeune, she is a virtual assistant, and she is a source of opportunity. When you go to any LinkedIn page, she is there. She is interacting. She's providing information, and she is a source for that executive who needs assistance. So those are opportunities I want us to talk about on this show. The veteran spouse, the military spouse, and making sure that they are fully employed and not underemployed. That is a huge issue. Also, other things that we'll be talking about in the coming week. We have a huge show for you next week. I will be live from Chester County, Pennsylvania, where my roots. I may be a northern girl in a southern territory, but I'm going to be going back north next week. I'll be in Chester County, Pennsylvania, and also in southern New Jersey. Like you heard, I am friends with Elizabeth Nader. She is part of Common Sense New Jersey. We're going to be talking with her. She just did an interview with Steve Bannon the other day, and we're also going to be talking with additional congressional candidates from Jersey. Also, some special people from Pennsylvania I'd like to feature on the show. And then we're going to be bringing some powerful book authors to you. Holly K. Dunn, who is a dear friend of mine, she was also a client of mine. She wrote the book Soul Survivor, and she was the only sole survivor of the railroad killer in the 1990s. And now she's on the front lines fighting for protection of the trafficking issues and helping women who have been assaulted, raped, and she was left for dead. She has a powerful story. We'll be talking with her next week. So as we head into a very powerful first week of August, school is just right around the corner. I know many schools are going back in mid-August and then at the end of August. We are going to be focusing a lot on parents, parental rights, education, fighting and to protect our students, fighting to protect them from the CRT and the transgender agenda. And so we're going to be really featuring that. Also next week, CPAC Dallas will be held Thursday and Friday in Dallas. And I will have colleagues and friends on the ground there. Hopefully we'll be bringing you some fun interviews while they're at CPAC Dallas. For all of you who are not aware of CPAC, it is a Conservative Principal Actions Committee that was founded back in the 80s during the Reagan administration. It's run by Matt and Mercedes Schlapp, and they are just a phenomenal team, and they bring CPAC every year. In the past couple years, it has been in Florida. It was in Orlando this year. And then this coming year, they're talking about having it back at the Gaylord at the National Harbor and right outside of Washington, D.C. So grab your coffee cups because we're going to have a lot of things to do. And as I'm taking a sip of my coffee, for everybody out there, TK and I were just talking about coffee, my energy level, my rants, and then also some great food. And Pallotta and I were talking about the fact that my years at Fox Business, my years living in New York City, my favorite coffee I have sent to our house here in Cedar Point is called Zabar's. It's from the Upper West Side. It is by a Jewish family that's been in New York for many, many years. I think the early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. And so it is a little hot spot for me. My mother and I usually go up there and get our bagels. And I also have my bagel shipped here as well. So
are you saying those are legit locks up there?
Yes, they are legit.
That's fresh because it's good. I mean, they have some good bagels in the area around here. There's, you got Apple Annie's, you got In the Round. There's a couple of them. I like a good bagel, but the locks usually end up being some sort of like paste. So having, you got to.
This is legit.
Yeah.
This is legit. It is so legit. I tell you, go to zabars.com, zabars.com. And what you can and
we'll plug them if they send us bagels and coffee.
Oh, yeah. I bet you they will. I get my coffee delivered about every 2 weeks. I get my bagels about every 6 weeks. And it's all about the water, as my mother would say. It's all about the water. And so the bagels, the pizza crust, the cheesecake, it's all about the water. There's nothing like eating the amazing cuisines of New York City and being able to have Zabar's come to my doorstep. During the COVID time period, I had it shipped nonstop. Stocked up in the coffee, stocked up. Ask my neighbors. They receive Zabar's treats all through the Christmas holiday, and they also always receive a Zabar's bag of coffee. I live, breathe, and eat Zabar's, and I'm so grateful for them continuing to go through everything that's happened in the past couple years, and they're still thriving, and I'm so thankful for their coffee. So, TK, you're going to get some.
Are you going to develop more of an accent from New York the more you ingest this stuff? I mean, if it's in the water.
It's in the water. I tell you what, I probably will sound a little different being up in Pennsylvania and Jersey next week. You may hear little things that just come out. My husband teases me all the time. And the other day I said, I'm going to go for a walk. And he's like, a walk? What's a walk? And I said, I'm going for a walk. And he said, no, it's walk. And I said, no, it's a walk. And so I've noticed that it comes out every once in a while. Talking to my mother, it comes out every once in a while when I hear her talk, and then sometimes she catches me. So I may sound a little different next week. So, but do I have any Southern flair, or do you still hear more of a Northern or just more of a generalized tone in my pronunciation and enunciations? What do you think, TK? Oh, well, guess he's not there. Anyway, so as we head in, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just not awake. Here I was just talking right into a dead microphone.
I was like, where did you go?
I was even trying to respond and be witty, and yeah, the neurons are just not having it this morning.
You know what, TK? Some of the news headlines that you had mentioned to me while we were on the break, can you read off a couple of those? I think we just need a little humor here this Thursday morning. And some of them, what was the runaway bride? Can you talk to that one? I don't have it in front of me. You're going to have to announce these.
Well, I can definitely bring you the story. Apparently, a bride ended up having to hitchhike to her own wedding. Now, what's good about this, the only comforting part so far, is that it's not American. This isn't Florida. This isn't North Carolina. Most of the stories that I pop usually come from some crazy person somewhere in Tennessee or somewhere like that. But in this case, Casper out of 96.3 Star Country, stranded bride goes viral on TikTok after hitchhiking to her own wedding. What went wrong at your wedding, and were you able to get through it? At least you didn't have to hitchhike to your wedding like this bride in London did last week. The bride went viral on TikTok thanks to a bystander who actually decided to help her out and drive her to her wedding venue after she kept getting her ride shares canceled on the way to the church as she was having her wedding. She was only 45 minutes late thanks to the stranger who decided to go out of their way to help her. And it might be one of the most wholesome TikTok videos you see this week. Fingers crossed that the bride makes it, and let's see, makeshift driver. Send her a makeshift driver a thank you card and invite him to their anniversary next year. So yeah, go on TikTok and look for Mark Stenad, Mark Steen Adamson. Steen Adamson, yeah. And it's just, it's adorable.
No, that's great. That's great. You know, I was thinking...
I would be nervous if I saw a woman in a full-on wedding dress hitchhiking. I'd be like, no. There's something wrong here. Where
was her friends? Where were her bridesmaids? Where were her parents?
I'm guessing it's going to be like, have you ever asked Siri to divide 0 by 0?
No, what happens?
It'll say, you know, Cookie Monster is sad because there are no cookies, and you are sad because you have no friends. Because you have no cookies to distribute to no friends. That's the analogy she uses. So I'm guessing this bride's reception was probably $20 or less. Right? A couple of White Castles and a bottle of soda, and all her friends were there.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm guessing there wasn't a whole lot of budget for this wedding. Like, what limo? We got you a ride share. Oh, wait. We got you another ride share. Oh, wait. We got you another ride share. Oh, crap. That one canceled. We got you a ride share.
Oh, my word.
Somebody needs to go after Uber on this one. It's like, man, y'all done, like, made wedding hell for this poor woman.
You know what? I really... no offense to Uber, but whenever I'm in New York or in DC, call me old-fashioned. I am old-fashioned. I have that antique typewriter right behind me because it's my favorite piece. But I want to go to a cab. I just want to go to a yellow cab. And I'm not the Uber thing just doesn't sit well with me. And I know for the younger generation, it's like, oh yeah, it's the easiest thing to do. But I'm like, where's my yellow cab? That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I'm comfortable with. You know, do they even exist anymore? The yellow cabs?
Oh, they do, but the medallions and the competition is just not worth it. But I got something from Florida that I think is even more fun.
Oh, what do you got from Florida? My favorite state. No offense.
Florida woman. Oh, I love Florida. Florida people are absolutely bonkers. This is coming from Inside Edition. A whip-wielding Florida woman arrested for stabbing a vehicle in the Publix parking lot with a pitchfork. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Sloan was arrested after wielding a whip and pitchfork in a local Publix parking lot before telling state troopers that God is in control. The Florida woman was arrested after wielding a pitchfork and whip outside the Publix during a rainstorm and stabbing a vehicle in the store's parking lot with the agricultural tool. Miss Sloan, 56, a year younger than I and probably in the dating pool I don't want to be in, was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. I'm guessing the minivan sort of dropped the charges. According to Lake County online court records, dash cam video shows the woman identified as Sloan in the parking lot. She can be seen pointing her whip at a police patrol car before walking away. She then walked back into the parking lot, pointed her pitchfork at a trooper, and then Sloan allegedly refused to be handcuffed. Oh, yeah, no surprise there. A trooper disarmed her, took her to the ground. According to an arrest report filed by police, she was then placed into a cruiser. Dash cam footage shows Sloan saying, "God is great, God is in control." I'm guessing this is like the American version of Allahu Akbar or something. The trooper spoke with the manager of Publix, who said Sloan attempted to sell teddy bears behind the store. Sloan then ran through the parking lot, then allegedly stabbed a parked minivan with the pitchfork she was holding. The owner of the minivan said he did not want to get the police involved, saying he would fix the damages to his vehicle on his own. I'm guessing there's going to be some, please don't bring your canine around my minivan. After being detained, Sloan was allegedly able to unbuckle her seatbelt, kicked out the right door window of the cruiser. She appeared to be highly intoxicated on some sort of stimulant drug, but did not appear to be under the influence of alcohol. She is in jail on a wonderful and, how would you say, to make you think twice kind of punishment. $2,000 bond.
Man.
By that afternoon, she was out. I mean, all she had to do was hawk the pitchfork and a couple of teddy bears, and she's back out. And
oh my gosh, that pitchfork! What a visual!
Yeah, I mean, it's. Do you remember who's that windmill guy? Don Quixote tipping it at windmills, right? So here comes this crazy lady, teddy bear in one hand and a pitchfork in the other. And just impales a minivan. And if it was my minivan, I'd be like, yeah, I want to press some charges and get this fixed. But there had to be something in the car for the guy to say, no, I don't need the police involved. I mean, isn't that what you think? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, there's something else to that story. There's something else. There's more to that story.
I want to know about the minivan.
Yeah. What's really in that minivan?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because anybody else, if somebody stabbed your car with a pitchfork, would you just, no big deal, drive away?
No. I think there'd be definitely some retaliation.
Well, what if it was your kid's used car, right? 3 different colored doors, a bunch of rust, maybe missing part of a bumper and part of the headlights held on by tape. If that car was stabbed by a pitchfork, would you be upset?
No, I don't have a kid, but my husband wouldn't let me have a car like that, so no.
You all don't know the struggle.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like when you go to the car. See, this is my history, right? One of my cars, I went to a car wash, and I don't know why. Because when I came out, there was a lot of water inside the car, and, of course, when it came out the other end, I'm like, wait, are those the same 3 colors? Yeah, because it's like, wait a minute, it washed some of the paint. No, that's my car.
That's
your
car.
It doesn't look quite like that when it's not dirty.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, the door handle, if you took a left turn too quickly on a rough road, the actual passenger door would open. It would actually open. I went to lunch with some friends. I was at NBC at the time, and the guy was like, yeah, let's take your car. I feel like going on an adventure. And when he got back, he's like, that's one adventure I can, I no longer have to have a near-death experience, because he was in the car when the door opened. He was is that a feature or a bug? Kind of like Windows, right? You're not sure if it's a feature or a bug. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, that's a feature. So if you need to get out and run, you're halfway there.
Yep, exactly. Hey, I was sitting here looking at Instagram. I do like going to Instagram in the morning, and just wanted to send out some words of encouragement. It's Thursday afternoon or Thursday morning, headed into the weekend. And, we're still in middle of summer. We're almost into that first week of August. But I was thinking back to what Lindsay Corbett said the other day when we had her on the show, remember Gospel Glitter, my glitter friend? Remember how she was talking about just unplugging, even for the moms, the working moms, whatever kind of lifestyle you are living right now, and just talking about the unplugged. And you know what? That really challenged me. And I noticed yesterday, she did her Mom's Minute. So for all of you moms out there who are listening, all of those who are out there retired, all of those who are just working long hours, continually raising 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, have a dog, have a cat, have a husband, have a wife. Go to Gospel Glitter, Lindsay Corbett, go to her Mom's Minute. It's very inspirational because it gives you about less, like I said, a minute to just hear from the Bible, hear from scripture, and to inspire you to get through that day of whatever you're going through. But one thing that she really got to me was just the unplugging piece. We are always on our phones. We're always talking to somebody, texting somebody, calling somebody, looking up things. I know, TK, you and I were sitting here back and forth nonstop texting about the show. And the other day after having her on the show, I just wanted to encourage you all out there, take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes, even if you have 30 minutes for whatever lunch break you have or whatever you have within that day, take a few minutes to unplug from the phone, put it away, turn it off, send it somewhere, throw it in the ocean. The water's right out our back door. I'll just throw it out there if I really wanted to. But just take a few minutes for yourself, meditate, pray, read scripture, focus on who you are and who you have been made to be. So you can also fill those cups around you. If your cup is not filled, and I had a dear friend of mine when I was on Capitol Hill say to me, we can either wake up, our feet hit the floor, and we say, okay, God, what do you have in store this morning? What do you have? My cup is half filled. Let's fill it to overflowing. And so for this show, as we talk about faith, freedom, family, politics, I want to, for all those listeners out there, just to be inspired at the end of the day. If your cup, like my coffee mug, is, it's about less than half full at this point, but I have been inspired by our guests. I've been inspired by being able to live another day, to be able to get up and just be grateful, to lift your hands up and just be grateful. Look up to the sky and just be grateful for the life that you have been given. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the daily drama, a lot of things, all the negative news headlines. My dad calls me or texts me every once in a while in the evenings. He says, well, I watched ABC News tonight with David Muir and we're all going to die. Every night we're all going to die. And, just take a step back and focus on what is most important. Your spouse, your child, your family member, somebody you haven't connected with in a long time. Just take some time to really focus and unplug a little bit. And I was on Instagram, I'm looking at right now, Proverbs 31 Ministries, which I believe is based out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area, if I'm not mistaken. And the quote there this morning is, what is impossible with our human limitations is always possible for a limitless God. Let me say that one more time. What is impossible with human limitations is always possible for a limitless God. And that is from Lisa Turkis. She is a book author and inspirational speaker. Just want to share that with all of those who are listening in. If you need an extra dose of a hug, a listening ear, a little bit of unplugging from your phones, having a friend listen to you and just be there for you, pick up that phone or unplug from the phone and take a walk. Get a 10-minute walk in, get some vitamin D. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and doing self-care for you. Just wanted to send out that little inspirational message. Very powerful, and yet can really help change a day and can really help change your focus. Be grateful, be thankful, and you are blessed. You are blessed for where you are today. It is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It is Thursday, July the 28th. And in about less than 5 minutes, I know we have to go to break, we will have Paul Valone, a radio show host for Guns, Politics, and Freedom. And TK, are we ready to hit the break?
Oh, yeah, I'm on it.
Okay.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Please don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. In crime news, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for sexual assault he recently committed after recently getting out of prison. Detectives arrested Matthew Alexander Stull for second-degree rape on June 10th. Stull had previously been arrested in 2015 for second-degree rape. This charge violated his probation. Stull is now back in prison, awaiting trial for this assault. In Brunswick County, authorities are looking for a vandal who damaged the sea turtle nesting sign in Oak Island. The Oak Island Sea Turtle Protection Program says someone sprayed blue paint on a sign, which dripped onto the sand in the nest. Disturbing a nest is a federal offense, and fines range from $15,000 to $50,000. It is illegal to put up stakes, remove wire off of nests, or walk on top of a nest. In Columbus County, several groups coming together to tear down a drug house near a school. The Whiteville Police Department, North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement, and District Attorney John David have announced the demolition of a building across from Central Middle School. The lot at 205 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue was turned over to Whiteville City Schools after the property was deemed a nuisance to the community and posed a safety concern to children and staff at the school. And we now know about plans for a celebration to honor a man credited with growing and modernizing Thalian Hall. Tony Rivenbark died last Monday at Lower Cape Fear Hospice. For decades, he served as the executive director of Thalian Hall. A celebration ceremony called Remembering the Life of a Wilmington Legend will take place Saturday, August 27th at 5 p.m. on Thalian Hall's main stage. Seating is limited and first come, first serve. A reception will follow at the Wilson Center. For more on these stories, you can head over to WWAYTV3.com. I'm Matt Bennett. Have a great day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm WWAY meteorologist Ramel Carpenter with your Storm Track 3 forecast. Another hot one on our hands here in the Cape Fear as high temperatures get into the middle and upper 90s inland of the coast, lower 90s for the coastal areas today, with heat advisories going into effect at noon, lasting until 8 o'clock this evening. As we head into the afternoon hours, only a small chance for an isolated shower or storm to develop. Most backyards are going to hold on to dry time. As for tonight, not much of a break from the heat and the humidity as temperatures fall to the upper 70s and the lower 80s. Get your full forecast on WWAY and WWAYTV3.com.
This news and weather is brought to you by Two Men and a Truck. For your free quote, go to twomenandatruck.com. twomenandatruck.com.
The Boiling Spring Lakes Motel, located at 2 North Shore, is a peaceful and convenient place to stay. Newly renovated rooms with a comfortable back porch welcomes everyone. Discount rates are available to those who might need more time. Close to the beach, everything you need for a fun vacation. Call Stephanie at 910-845-2893. Boiling Spring Lakes Motel.
Folks, we all know ongoing road construction and traffic can weigh heavy on your vehicle. Since 2006, O'Leary's Automotive Repair has provided comprehensive repair services at affordable prices to get you back on the road in no time. Their ASE certified technicians will help you find a cost-effective repair and maintenance alternatives. O'Leary's has multiple locations in the area in Hampstead, Leland, the Myrtle Grove area, Ogden, and Wrightsboro. O'Leary's Automotive Repair, a trusted, locally owned business since 2006.
Enjoying Big Talker Network is as easy as asking for it. Program your digital home assistants such as Google Home, Alexa, and Siri to stream Big Talker Network content by simple voice command. Enjoy convenient hands-free access to the program whenever you want, however you want, by asking for Big Talker.
Okay. Yeah, because she's
Ladies
going...
and gentlemen, welcome back to the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad, right here on the Big Talker Network. Please, if you would, visit the Big Talker website, bigtalker.live, peruse our schedule of content, download the app for Android and iOS devices, and please send an email with any comments, questions, concerns, compliments, or critiques you may have. We can't improve without your help, and one of the biggest improvements this station has had is bringing in Ms. Eden Gordon-Hill to run the morning show, and I am very grateful for that. Good morning, Ms. Hill. I understand, and we also have Paul Valone, the director of the Grassroots North Carolina, and he's very excited to share with us some new information coming down the pike. Apparently, we're going to have a new lifestyle coming.
Mr. Valone, so great to have you here this morning. And I also see that you are the host for Guns, Politics, and Freedom. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. You are correct. I believe it's, what did you have it? TK Saturdays at 1, Sundays at 5, and then I guess sometimes during the week as well, like 11 o'clock. Does that sound right?
I think 11 o'clock on Tuesday through Friday, plus the drop on Saturday and the replay Saturday afternoon.
There we go.
And it's available on the podcast at your fingertips on the Big Talker app. So
awesome. Well, Paul, I've been so looking forward to meeting you and speaking with you, and I think we have a lot in common. But I know you wanted to start off hitting it pretty hard on HR 1808. You want to talk about this assault weapon ban that's being forced through by Pelosi. I have another name for her, but I guess I'll try and be nice this morning. Go ahead.
No reason to be nice to her. But anyway, HR 1808 is the latest overreach by the United States House in their attempt to incrementally end the private ownership of firearms. What this thing would do would be a reinstatement of the semi-auto ban, sort of, because you may recall that the Democrats managed to pass a ban on a wide variety of semi-automatic firearms and magazines holding more than 10 rounds back in 1994. But shrewdly, some of the pro-gun forces were able to put a sunset into that bill, and it sunsetted in 2004. Now, understand that the ATF would be the first to tell you that it did nothing for violent crime. In fact, I had an ATF guy tell me about all it really did was to make it more confusing on which guns were legal and which guns were illegal. But the big difference about this one is that where the 94 ban had a two-feature test. In other words, if you had a pistol grip and a flash suppressor, or a pistol grip and a folding stock, okay, or, two features, then that would classify it as a so-called assault weapon, which, by the way, that name is a contrivance of the left. They actually invented it back in the 1980s to confuse the public and make them think that these are machine guns when, in fact, they are functionally identical to any other hunting rifle. But what they're doing now is they're reducing it to a one-feature test. Now, I sent TK a picture of a pistol. Is that up there by chance, sir?
Yep, it's up there.
That's an assault weapon, okay? That's a .22 caliber pistol, about as benign as could be. 10-round magazine. Yeah, basically it's used for target shooting.
Yeah.
And by virtue of the fact that one feature test, one of the features that makes it a so-called assault weapon is a threaded barrel, which that one has. You use a threaded barrel to attach a compensator, a muzzle brake, or in some cases a suppressor or other muzzle devices. It's quite benign. But that, under Nancy Pelosi's definition, is an assault weapon. So, if anybody,
let me go back.
Go ahead.
Let me go back to something really quickly. I want to go back to the assault content of the left back in the 80s and how it is fast forwarded to current day and what Pelosi is doing. And, the term assault is absolutely ridiculous because in actuality, as I was saying yesterday, she wants to ban our gun rights, but look who is surrounding her and protecting her. And look what they have. What are they holding? What are they holding? The Wicked Witch of the West needs to either get out of there, move out of the way, and so we can have and keep our gun rights 2A all the way, baby. But I've about had it with her. And how old is she now? 82, 83? No age discrimination here. But seriously, lady, seriously, we've got to get her out of there. So let's go back to the whole assault thing, because you're gotten me fired up. because I am married to a veteran who served in Iraq. I am married to the fact that our military and our veterans have fought for our freedoms, and the fact that if we're going to take away our guns, you might as well just take away our freedoms, because that's what it comes down to. So what are we going to do with HR 1808?
Well, first off, I would argue that's precisely what they intend to do, because they know perfectly well that these so-called assault weapon bans and other gun control don't have any significant impact on violent crime. What they're trying to do is they are trying to incrementally end the private ownership of firearms for precisely the reason you just said. Gun owners are a very independent-minded people. We think of things in terms of freedom. It is their intent to extinguish that feeling of freedom and to make you dependent on the government. So, anyways, with respect to 1808, the good news is it got pulled off the calendar yesterday because Nancy Pelosi doesn't have enough votes. She's got about 5 Democrats who are saying they won't vote for it yet, as well as about, I think they said a number of, obviously most of the Republican delegation won't vote for it either. So it's been displaced until August. Now that gives us a chance to beat on some of these Democrats who said they won't support it, and kind of reinforce the fact that it would be a career-ending move for them. So if people, we'll have another alert up in the next day or so. We already actually have an alert up on HR 1808, but if they go to grnc.org, and they will see the alerts on the left side. On the left side, it says GRNC alerts. Click on the alerts, and then it will tell you what to do. We structure our legislative alerts so that people who have very little time and lots of competing demands on their lives can actually click on there and make their voices heard to the legislators in a matter of just a few minutes. We make it as easy as possible so that we can get as much constituent input into these legislators as possible. And yes, by the way, we do want you phoning out-of-state legislators, and we'll give you ways to contact it. They have contact forms for their website that theoretically eliminate out-of-state contacts, but we found a way around that. So grnc.org, check the alerts, and we can kill this bill.
Let me ask you something about killing the bill. When I was on Capitol Hill, constituents would flood the phone boards. And so do you give out the U.S. Capitol number, the 225 number, where constituents from all over the nation can flood the phone boards and flood the offices? First, do you do that? And second, in regards to knowing that Congress is in recess, they'll be going back. She may be going to Taiwan to stir up the pot a little bit. With regards to them coming back for a September session and things of that nature, let me ask you this. Do we have the opportunity, and do we still have that freedom to go up to Capitol Hill as constituents? Are the doors open to us now, or are they still closed to us where we can't go in and talk to a legislative director, assistant, or the front office person to actually get the ear of the congressman? Have you been able to do that? One, with flooding the Capitol switchboards, and then also going literally face to face to the members' offices to fight this bill?
We definitely do flood the Capitol switchboard. We also give individual phone numbers, and what we do to defeat their website contact forms is they will typically require an address within the state or within their district. So we use the address and zip code for their largest district office in their district, and just fill that in, and you can use it. It's more problematic to get individual appointments with legislators. Not impossible, but needless to say, the opposition is not likely to want to grant you an appointment. It's a little bit easier to get to the gallery or committee meetings and see what's going on there. We have the good fortune in North Carolina that our legislature is very open and free. In fact, until the Moral Monday crowd started causing trouble, they didn't even have metal detectors. You could walk freely in and out of the buildings. But even now, the way it's structured with these interior courtyards, you have ready access to legislators' offices. You can, and one of the more useful things is to watch who's talking to who. You can learn a lot about the legislative landscape when you do that. But The other thing, by the way, that they're trying to undermine and destroy, H.R. 2814 would repeal the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, or the PLCAA. Now, back in the 1990s, the Clinton administration and a bunch of mass tort lawyers had a lovely idea. They were going to inflict the death of 1,000 cuts on the gun industry and, using the tobacco model, sue the living daylights out of them and file just massive numbers of litigation by cities against gun manufacturers. And in fact, they actually got, at that point in time, Smith & Wesson was owned by a British company, Tompkins PLC, and they got Smith & Wesson to actually impose gun control on themselves before, rather than getting sued under this massive litigation scheme. Fortunately, Congress, a few years later, it took a couple of iterations to do it, but Congress passed legislation that basically says you cannot sue a gun manufacturer over a product which functions as intended. You could sue them over a defective product, but the idea was they were using these novel legal theories, what they called them, that basically by selling a gun that you were somehow liable for what happened to that gun, as though you were holding a car dealer liable for what happens when the car goes out and he sells a car to somebody, and you're holding him liable for any resulting accident. It's absurd. Then, of course, this is what causes Joe Biden to go, oh, you can sue anybody in the world, but you can't sue a gun manufacturer. Well, that's a lie. All right. The only thing you can't sue them over is one of these novel legal theories. If they have a defective product, you can sue them as well as anywhere else. But Biden has made it one of his chief objectives to try and water down or repeal the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. And if he does that, if they manage to succeed, that will be their, the nose of the camel under the tent in basically driving gun manufacturers out of business.
And and if this happens, what do we, as the American people, do? Do we stock up right now? Do we go out and just buy as much as we can? What do we do? What is it? How are we going to fight the Biden mentality and communist thought of the ongoing control? What are we going to do as the American people?
The good news is, if these things pass the House, we still have the Senate. And thanks to Joe Manchin, they have not been able to end the filibuster, so they still need 60 votes for cloture in the Senate. Now, I would like to say I don't think they're going to get 60 votes in the Senate. I hope they won't get 60 votes, but one can never be assured, okay? We cannot rely on that. At one point, Madison Cawthorn, our congressman from out here in the 11th District, he who's not going to be a congressman anymore thanks to his many misdeeds. Anyway, he voted for gun control within the Defense Authorization Act. There was a red flag provision in it. And what he said was, well, I knew we'd be able to stop it in the Senate. No, you don't. Okay? You can never know that. Okay? That's a lame excuse.
Yes, it is.
So in any case, with luck, we should be able to stop these things in the Senate. We certainly have a better chance there than in the House. I'm sure they're going to. I think she may eventually be able to whip enough votes to pass these things to the House, but never means to be seen. It's giving her some heartburn right now, which is kind of nice. Anything that gives Nancy Pelosi problems is okay by me.
No. So what else do you think? What else, as gun owners, as freedom-loving Americans, as we head into this red wave for November, what do we need to be telling? Yes, we hope
it will be a red wave. Do not plan on that, and we do not want our people to be complacent, because that red wave is by no means assured.
Exactly, and that's why I was going to ask you the next question. How are we, as the American people, how are we, you and I, as radio hosts, and going out there on the air every day, how are we going to educate the voter so they are not complacent and depending on the fact that there could be a red wave? What are we going to do to educate those voters out there? Yes, we have the GOP. Yes, we have all the different groups out there. But is that enough? No, I don't think it is. I think we need to really educate.
speaking for my organization, we run two political action committees. One is a federal conventional PAC, the GRNC Political Victory Fund, and the other one's a super PAC called the Judicial Fairness Project. Now, what we do is we do independent expenditures for or against candidates, mailings, radio spots, social media advertising, robocalls, robotexts, and we're going to have a new very advanced technology that I'm not telling anybody what it is just yet. But what we do is we activate our core constituency of supporters to make sure we get them to the polls, and that's probably first and foremost. What people need to do is if they run into acquaintances, like-minded acquaintances, or family members or coworkers, people that think like they do, and they're going, well, there's not a dime's worth of difference between them. I don't know if I'll bother to vote. Get them out and get them to the polls. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
So
that's coming up a lot. Election integrity, I do want to focus on this show, and that is really what I heard when I was on the campaign trail for Carteret and Craven County for the state house. I heard that a lot. What is the difference? Why would our vote matter? So the American people are asking that question. And after they saw what happened in 2020, people are asking that question. Will this happen again? Will this happen in 2024? So that is where we really need to educate them to make sure and obviously fight a corrupt system that is happening in and around the states and around the country. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Let me give you a good example. Last weekend, I taught a seminar, my intro to grassroots mobilization seminar that I teach. I wrote a book called Rules for Anti-Radicals, a practical handbook for defeating leftism, which people can find at rulesforantiradicals.com. And so I was teaching a seminar based on that book, and one of the people in the audience was Kevin Hayes, the conservative candidate for the U.S. Senate in the 2020 elections. Now, although we did not support Tom Tillis in the primaries, unfortunately, he won the primaries, and we ended up basically saying, hold your nose and vote for Tom Tillis in the general election. Now, Kevin Hayes got very mad at me because he's like, I'm a 4-star candidate. He's a 2-star candidate. You should be supporting me, blah, blah, blah. And he's harassed us on the Facebook page and everything else. And he did it again at this seminar. I said, all right, Kevin, let's take a look at your presupposition. And this will give you an idea why your vote counts. Tom Tillis narrowly won re-election. I think it was 1.74% of the vote. It wasn't a lot. All right.
Okay.
The opponent, Cal Cunningham, ran a strong campaign, even though he's a piece of dirt. But anyways, now I said, Kevin, let's assume for a moment that our political action committee recommended you in the general election, and let's say we siphoned off that 1.74% of the vote to you, okay, which makes Cal Cunningham the winner of that race, and adding another Democrat seat to the Senate. What this race was all about was not Tillis. It was about control of the United States Senate. Because if Tillis had lost that election, right now, the U.S. Senate would be 51-49 controlled by the Democrats, and Joe Manchin's obstructionism to the left-wing agenda wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. What would have happened if they had 51-49? Chuck Schumer would have ended the filibuster. They would have run the so-called assault weapon ban. They would have run the so-called universal background checks, which is really universal gun registration. They would have added the 51st state. They would have packed the Supreme Court. We wouldn't have been able to stop a damn thing, all because of just this one little race and that 1.74% of the vote. So that's why people need to get out there. I'll tell you something. I've taken out incumbent congressmen by, I believe it was 213 votes. We've installed Patrick McHenry into the United States Congress way back in the early 2000s by 67 votes. So get out there and vote. Your vote counts.
Yeah. We have only just a few minutes left. And what I want to mention to the audience, for those who are listening live and also who will be tuning in later on Big Talker Network, we have Paul Valone. He is a radio show host And we also have found out this morning his book, Rules for Anti-Radicals. Where can we find you? Where can we watch you? Where can we listen in? And where can we get this book? I want to have you back. Obviously, I know you do come on the show every week, but I want us to talk about this book. I'm featuring a lot of book authors on this show, and I want to make sure that we hit this the next time we have you back. So where can you buy your book?
Yeah. Basically, I set out looking for a book for tactics for mainstream Americans and activists so that they could win in the political battles. And I really couldn't find what I was looking for, so I wrote it. It's called Rules for Anti-Radicals, a practical handbook for defeating leftism. You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it at my site, rulesforantiradicals.com. Rulesforantiradicals.com.
And where can we listen into your show?
Well, obviously, you've got it on the Big Talker Network and listen to it live there. I've got a YouTube channel as well, and I guess you guys have set up podcasts now as well. So you're moving right along, I see.
So for all of those out there tuning in this morning, it is 9:56 a.m. We are almost into the 10 o'clock hour, and we have Paul Valone, who is with Guns, Politics, and Freedom. Please check out his show. Also, go to Amazon.com and get Rules for Anti-Radicals. That is his book out, and we'll be talking more about that. Paul, we are so grateful for you giving us what is ahead with our gun rights. We are looking forward to thinking ahead and preparing the American voter for what is ahead in 2022 November elections, and also just what is happening within the halls, the marble halls of Congress, and where we can, as the American people, stand up and fight. Paul, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
No, thank you. The pleasure has been mine.
All right, TK.
What an amazing morning.
Yes. What an amazing morning is.
and that's 1 week. I mean, you've been at this 1 week, waking up at 6 o'clock every morning.
5 o'clock.
Sorry, you wake up at when?
I wake up at 05. I grab 1 cup of coffee, have my Bible and Jesus time. I go work out, make hubby breakfast, and get ready. And then I come see your lovely face at 7:45. That's my morning.
Yeah, so my alarm goes off at 6:15, and we argue.
Yes. I do have a couple announcements. Do we have a few more seconds?
How about it?
Okay, great. I do want to just remind everyone about the upcoming events in our local area. We have had and talked about Swish. It is the Saturday, August 27th event at the Islander, hosted by Encounter 61. We've had a couple different guests and the keynote speaker, Lindsay Corbett, joining us. If you want to sign up, go to encounter61.com/swish. Also coming up in September, Saturday, September 10th, Zero, the End of Prostate Cancer. It is a run in Wilmington. Hashtag Zero Strong. So we encourage you to sign up for that. And then finally, October 4th through 6th, the Camp Lejeune Leadership Seminar over at Paradise Point Officers Club. The registration opens on August 26th. And as we all know, the beginning of August starts next week. It will be their fall seminar. And I have the honor and privilege to speak at their spring seminar. And they are an amazing group of women. They are there to support the spouse. So I really encourage you to sign up. Go to www.c as in Connie, LLS as in Sam, Lejeune.com. So go to www.cllslejeune.com to sign up. Registration opens on August 26th. And we're looking forward to having the president, Leah, on with Camp Lejeune Leadership Seminar, so you can hear more about their keynote speakers and what they have coming down the pike for our military spouse. And TK, that's the end for our announcements. And how are we looking?
Fantastic. We're about ready to head on and let Yael's show, Consumer Choice Radio, take over.
All right. Well, Eastern North Carolina and everybody tuning in, it is Thursday. And it is July the 28th, and we are almost at 10 o'clock a.m. It's been a pleasure to be with you this morning. Make sure you tune in, wear your red, remembering everybody deployed tomorrow. Bring your cup of coffee. We're going to have an amazing 2 hours with our military spouses, our entrepreneurs, and many other amazing women and those who are leading veteran service organizations. And so we're grateful and thankful. Be blessed and have an amazing day. Thank you.
And we will see you all tomorrow right here on the Asylum, your refuge in a world gone mad. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
The way I describe it for people is my dad shot himself and the bullet hit everyone in his life. It was a week before my 30th birthday, and I had this impulse to call him, but I didn't because I thought I could call him later that week.
63 Americans a day die by gun suicide. With safe gun storage, we can give our loved ones a second chance at life. Learn more at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Matt Bennett with WWAY News. In crime news, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for sexual assault he recently committed after recently getting out of prison. Detectives arrested Matthew Alexander Stull for second-degree rape on June 10th. Stull had previously been arrested in 2015 for second-degree rape. This charge violated his probation. Stull is now back in prison, awaiting trial for this assault. In Brunswick County, authorities are looking for a vandal who damaged the sea turtle nesting sign in Oak Island. The Oak Island Sea Turtle Protection Program says someone sprayed blue paint on a sign, which dripped onto the sand in the nest. Disturbing a nest is a federal offense, and fines range from $15,000 to $50,000. It is illegal to put up stakes, remove wire off of nests, or walk on top of a nest. In Columbus County, several groups coming together to tear down a drug house near a school. The Whiteville Police Department, North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement, and District Attorney John David have announced the demolition of a building across from Central Middle School. The lot at 205 South Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue was turned over to Whiteville City Schools after the property was deemed a nuisance to the community and posed a safety concern to children and staff at the school. And we now know about plans for a celebration to honor a man credited with growing and modernizing Thalian Hall.